You don't get the order in a movie moment. You get it on a Tuesday at 6:10, when the base is still half asleep and the coffee tastes like burnt water. A sergeant knocks on your door. He doesn't step inside. He just says your name and points down the hallway. Command wants you. Now. You put on your uniform without thinking. Boots, belt, cap. The routine makes you feel normal, which is the point. You're a Mexican Army captain, mid-30s, logistics background, 2 deployments, no scandals. You are not the kind of officer who ends up on television. You walk into the briefing room and see faces you don't usually see together. Major General Arturo Salgado at the head of the table. 2 colonels you recognize from intelligence. 1 man in plain clothes with a folder and no insignia. Everyone stands up when you enter, then sits down at the same time, like they practiced. General Salgado doesn't waste words. This is a compartmented operation. You will speak to no one outside this room. Not your unit, not your family, not your friends. If you need to say something, you say it to me. He slides the folder toward you. On the cover, there is a code name, Operation Noob. Inside is a photo of a man the public calls El Mencho. General Salgado watches your face. You know what that name means to civilians. Fear. Myth. A story people tell to explain why their city went quiet. You keep your eyes on the folder. Yes, mi general, the plainclothes man speaks next. We have a confirmed window next month, a location pattern, a vulnerability. We need it handled in a way that does not turn into a public circus. Colonel Ibarra, intelligence, taps a map. We are not asking you to win a war. We are asking you to complete a mission. Clean. Controlled. No hero behavior. You wait for the part where they explain why you are here. They do. General Salgado says, you have 2 qualities we need. First, you follow procedures. Second, you don't talk. You don't seek credit. If this works, nobody will know your name. A quiet part of you wants to say no. The louder part knows you were not invited to say no. The general points at a line in the folder. It is your profile summary. Vehicle registered to your cousin. Apartment lease in your wife's name. Child in a private school. Your mother in a small house in the state where you grew up. He isn't threatening you. He is reminding you that the institution sees everything, and the institution expects obedience. You will be given a contact channel, the plainclothesman says. You will receive tasks in stages. First observation, then confirmation, then action. You ask the only question that matters. What is the success condition? General Salgado answers. Target neutralized. You return. No media, no leaks, no trophies. And if it fails, you ask. The room stays quiet for a second. Then the general says, then we try again with someone else. And you will live with the fact that you were the one who touched it. You sign the paper they put in front of you. It isn't a signature that makes you brave. It's a signature that makes you owned. Then the first message arrives on a burner phone that appears in your locker like it grew there. No call or name, just text. Task 1. Watch. No contact. They give you a vehicle and a cover story. You are moving equipment between bases. The paperwork looks perfect. That's another reminder. The Army is a machine. When it chooses, it can make any movement look normal. You spend nights parked near ordinary places, counting cars and timing routines. You don't see the boss at first. You see the system around him. The second task arrives. Task 2. Confirm routine. Do not follow close. They give you a time window and a route segment. You track a convoy at a distance that feels useless until you understand the rule. The closer you get, the more you become a fact someone can notice. A week later, you get Task 3. Find gap. Colonel Ibarra meets you in a plain office with no decorations. He speaks like he is reading a report, not talking to a person. The target is predictable in one place only, he says. He trusts that place. He reduces his security. Not because he is careless, because he believes he controls the world. He shows you a diagram. The gap is small. 10 minutes. 1 entrance. 1 exit. A short window where the boss becomes a man walking to a car. You feel your mouth go dry. Why me? You ask again, even though you already know. Ibarra answers, Because you can stand in front of a cliff and not flinch. Because you will do what you're told and then go home and say nothing. Planning is paperwork and rehearsals. You work with a small team of ranks and call signs. They practice until it feels boring. General Salgado gives you a simple instruction. Your job is not to hate him. Your job is to finish. Your wife asks why you are quiet. You tell her you are tired. It is true, just not in the way she thinks. The night before the mission, you sleep 2 hours. You wake up and check your son's door like he might disappear if you don't look. You stand there longer than you should. Then you leave. The final briefing is short. General Salgado speaks one last time. If you hesitate, you die. If you improvise, you die. If you talk afterward, you die. And if you succeed, you will still die someday. Because this country eats men who touch monsters. Nobody laughs. It isn't a joke. The day arrives. The team moves in 2 groups. One visible, one not. You are in the visible group. Because you can't hide a uniform if the plan needs a uniform. The target location is not a palace. It is a normal-looking property behind a normal gate. That is the ugliness of power. It hides in plain structures. You do not see him until you do. When he appears, there is no music, no slow motion. Just a man stepping out, surrounded by men who move like they were trained to never look scared. You focus on procedure. The world narrows into distances and timing. You do what you were trained to do. You follow the plan exactly. It is fast. It is decisive. It ends. You do not stand over him. You do not speak. You do not look for proof to keep. You move, because the plan says move. Within minutes, you are in a different vehicle on a different road. Your hands are steady, but your stomach is not. The body reacts even when the mind tries to stay professional. Back at the base, nobody congratulates you. They take your phone. They take your notes, even though you have none. They take your memory in the only way they can. They tell you to never speak of it again. And they make you understand they can enforce that. For 12 hours, the country feels normal. Then retaliation begins. Roadblocks, burned vehicles. Shootings meant to create fear. News anchors say, cartel violence like it is weather. People cancel weddings. Schools close early. Shop owners pull their metal shutters down before sunset. The air changes. You can feel it when you walk outside. A quiet that isn't peace, but caution. The army tells the public it is restoring order. Behind closed doors, they tell you something else. Colonel Ibarra says, they are looking for a story that ends with a name. They don't need the truth. They need a body to balance their myth. For a week, you sleep at the base. You don't call home as much. When you do, you keep your voice normal. Your wife senses something. She always has. She doesn't press you. That hurts more than questions. Then the first sign arrives that the cartel's search is narrowing. A vehicle you don't recognize sits near your mother's street in your hometown. No plates visible, 2 men inside. They don't do anything. They just exist there, and existence is enough. You report it. The army moves your mother fast. Your son asks questions. You lie. The second sign is worse. A photo appears on your burner phone. It is your car, parked outside the base, taken from an angle that means someone stood close enough to touch it. No message, just the photo. You take it to Colonel Ibarra. He looks at it, then at you. They don't know who you are, he says, but they know there is a you. The army offers you a transfer, a new identity, a quiet life far away. It sounds like safety until you remember the sentence the general said, "This country eats men who touch monsters." You take the transfer anyway. You do not want your family to pay for your duty. For a while, the transfer feels like it worked. Then you notice the habits come back. One night, your normal phone rings. Unknown number. You answer because you are a soldier, and soldiers pick up calls. A calm voice says, "Capitan, look outside." Your breath stops. You move to the window. Across the street, a black SUV sits with the engine running and lights off. It is not hiding. It is showing you that hiding is pointless. The voice says, "We don't hate you. We don't love you. You are just the last line in the story." You try to speak, but what do you say? You can't negotiate with a machine built on revenge. The voice continues. Tomorrow, 1930, you will be on the road. You will be alone. The call ends. You don't tell your wife. You don't want her to see fear in your eyes and start counting days. You tell the army, and the army gives you a plan. Escorts, counter-surveillance, a decoy route, men in unmarked cars. It's solid. It's professional. It is also late. At 19:10 the next day, you leave the base anyway because your son is at home waiting for you to read him a story. That is the stupid human part that survives inside discipline. At 1928, you see the first vehicle behind you that doesn't fit. A sedan with dark paint and no impatience. It stays at the same distance. That's how you know it isn't a random driver. At 1931, another vehicle appears ahead, slow enough to control your speed. You check mirrors. You breathe through your nose like you were taught. Your hands are steady. Your escort cars are there, but they are late to the lane change. The timing is wrong by seconds. In this kind of work, seconds are the whole job. You take the decoy exit. The sedan follows. You take a second turn. It follows. Your escort car tries to cut in. Another SUV blocks it gently, like a door closing. You realize the ambush isn't a chaotic attack. It is a trap built to feel inevitable. At 1936, a van pulls in front and brakes. You stop. Not because you choose to, because there is nowhere to go. Two men step out. No masks. No yelling. One of them points a weapon without drama. The other walks to your door and knocks once, like a polite person at a neighbor's house. You do not reach for your gun. Not because you forgot, because you understand you are outnumbered, and your job now is to keep your family alive for one more minute. They pull you out fast and push you into the van. Your escort vehicle rams the rear corner too late. A gunshot cracks the air once, then stops. Not a firefight. A message. Inside the van, someone speaks quietly behind you. You did what they asked, the voice says. Now we do what we have to do. You don't answer. Your throat is dry. The van drives for 10 minutes. Then it stops. They pull you out into a place with no witnesses. An empty lot behind closed buildings. The city sounds far away, like it's choosing not to hear. The man in front of you says, "This is not personal." That line is almost funny. Almost. He raises his weapon. You think of your son's book on the table at home. You think of your wife's hands. You think of your mother's television still on at night. You do not get a long speech. You do not get closure. You get the ending that machines give, efficient and final. The next day, the news says, an officer died in a targeted incident. No name, no explanation. Just another line in a country that has too many lines like that. Your unit holds a small ceremony. General Salgado does not attend. Colonel Ibarra stands at the back and says nothing. That is the closest thing you get to recognition. Your wife receives a folded flag and a letter full of clean words. Duty. Service. Sacrifice. None of those words tell her the real reason. Your son asks where you went. She says you were brave. She says you are in heaven. She says whatever a mother says when reality is too heavy. Far away, men post videos showing roadblocks and fire and power. They call it justice. They call it balance. They call it proof. And somewhere, a new captain wakes up to a knock at 6:10, walks down a hallway, sits in a cold room, and sees a folder slide across a table. The country keeps moving. The machine keeps waiting. And it always finds someone useful. And nobody truly gets to choose when the story stops.